The Ferengi tortured the alien princess slowly, relishing her screams, not knowing a human soldier was coming to save her and slaughter all the aliens. Veteran Sergeant Robert Shaw stood at attention in the shadowy briefing room. Scars laced his skin, and a ragged beard framed his frown. His commanding officer pointed at a hologram of Illyria Prime. "Our allies are under Ferengi siege. The princess has critical intel on their weaknesses. She sent one message before comms went dark, begging for a rescue." Shaw narrowed his eyes. He hated Xenos. "With respect, why should we risk human lives for them, sir?" The general's face hardened. "The Illyrian defenses crippled 10 Ferengi dreadnoughts. That intel could help humanity survive. If the princess dies, we might follow. Someone has to extract her." "Shit," Shaw scratched his stubble. "I don't trust aliens, but we can't let those Ferengi fucks get stronger. When do I leave?" "Now. A stealth shuttle is prepped. You're the only one with the skills to get her out alive, but watch your back. Ferengi never take prisoners for long. Bring her home, or humanity's next." Shaw cracked his knuckles. "Roger that, one way or another, I'll get it done." He turned and marched out to gear up, ready to risk everything to complete the vital mission. Shaw's stealth shuttle descended through Illyria Prime's smoky atmosphere, the advanced cloaking tech masking his approach. He studied the ruined cityscape sprawling before him as he landed, noting columns of smoke twisting into the sky, shattered buildings looming like broken teeth, and distant flashes of weapons fire. The sergeant readied his gear and weapons, then slipped out into the eerie night. Debris crunched underfoot as he skulked through the city's corpse, skirting rubble and wrecked Ferengi war machines. Motion trackers showed patrols sweeping nearby streets and drones circling overhead, searching for targets. Shaw relied on his elite training to flow from cover to cover, a silent shadow. He calibrated his sensors to home in on Princess Sagan's unique biosignature. For hours, he crept through kilometers of the ruined capital, scanner displays stubbornly empty. Just as frustration started itching at the edges of his concentration, the screen pulsed. A faint signal, emanating from the shattered husk of the royal palace. Shaw pushed through aching muscles toward the site. Rounding a corner, Shaw ran into an Illyrian resistance patrol. Battered and bloodied, they leveled their weapons at him. Shaw slowly raised his hands, showing his human insignia. Their leader, a hulking warrior covered in blast scars, narrowed his eyes. "I am Zorn. Why is a human soldier here now?" "Name's Shaw. I'm here to extract Princess Sagan before the Ferengi find her. She has intel we need." Zorn lowered his gun. "The princess was last seen in the palace bunker, but it is heavily guarded by their elite. We would need a distraction to get close." Shaw's mind raced, calculating strategies. "I have an idea. If you hit the guards head-on, I can infiltrate in the chaos. Get your men ready." Minutes later, the night exploded with blaster fire and shouting as the rebels attacked. Shaw sprinted through the shadows, breaching the bunker door and plunging into the smoke-veiled labyrinth below. He followed the tracker through twisting, body-strewn corridors, kicking down a last door in a spray of sparks. There lay Princess Sagan, unconscious and bleeding from shrapnel wounds. A dying Illyrian soldier slumped over her, struggling to speak. He pressed a blood-stained data drive into Shaw's hands. "The intel, take it, and her, please, our last hope." The soldier shuddered, eyes dimming. Shaw hoisted the limp princess over his shoulders, pocketing the drive. No time to think, only move. He had to get them off-world before the Ferengi trap snapped shut. Klaxons started wailing as he sprinted back through the ruins, red lights flashing in the smoke. They knew. His only chance was to vanish into the night and pray his shuttle remained undiscovered. If he failed, humanity might fall. Alarms wailed as Shaw burst from the bunker into the smoke-filled night. The unconscious princess draped over his shoulders. He skidded to a halt, his blood running cold at the sight before him. Zorn and his fighters lay strewn across the rubble, their lifeless bodies painted in the flickering red glow of the Klaxons. The diversion had failed. The Ferengi elite, their armor glinting in the darkness, turned as one to face Shaw, leveling their weapons. Shaw's mind raced. calculating his odds of fighting through the Ferengi horde while keeping Sagan safe. The numbers were grim. As the first shots scorched the air around him, Shaw made his choice. His free hand darted to his belt, snatching the experimental wormhole generator General Graves had pressed into his palm before the mission. "If all else fails, use this," Graves had said, his face grim. "But be warned, there's no telling where it might send you." With a snarl, Shaw activated the device. The air before him shimmered and distorted as the wormhole tore reality asunder, a swirling vortex of unknown destination. Ferengi soldiers shouted in alarm, opening fire as they charged forward. Shaw leaped, clutching Sagan tight as the wormhole swallowed them whole. The vortex collapsed an instant later, the aftershock hurling the Ferengi back. Shaw and Sagan were gone, vanished without trace. Silence. Stillness. Shaw blinked, his vision adjusting to the sudden change. They lay on hard, rocky ground beneath an unfamiliar sky, the air thin and cold. A desolate alien landscape stretched to the horizon, devoid of any sign of life. Shaw checked the princess, relieved to find her breathing steady. As he tended to her wounds with his field kit, her eyes fluttered open. "Where are we?" Sagan asked, her voice hoarse. "No idea," Shaw replied. "Had to use an experimental wormhole device to get us out. Better than staying and dying, but this sure as hell ain't Kansas." Sagan nodded, wincing as she sat up. "Shaw, the data drive. You have to get it to your people. I had hoped the Allurians could use it to win freedom, but now—" "What's on it that's so damn important?" Shaw asked. "Everything," Sagan whispered. "Schematics, locations, weaknesses for a Ferengi superweapon. Something that could destroy entire systems. They mean to conquer the whole galaxy, and now only you and I stand in their way." "Shit," Shaw breathed. The stakes, already high, had just jumped to another level entirely. "We'll find a way back. Get this intel to the UEDF. Stop those bastards. You with me?" Sagan met his gaze, her eyes hardening with resolve. Until the end. They stood, taking in their strange new surroundings with a growing sense of unease. The landscape was barren, but something about it felt off to Shaw. Ruins jutted from the distant hills, too angular to be natural formations. As they set off to investigate, Shaw couldn't shake the feeling that this planet held secrets and dangers beyond anything they'd faced before. And all the while, he knew, the Ferengi would be searching, hunting them across the stars. The battle was far from over. Narrator. As Shaw and Sagan ventured deeper into the ruins of the ancient alien civilization, their footsteps echoed through the empty corridors. Shaw kept his rifle at the ready, scanning for any sign of danger, while Sagan's eyes darted over the strange symbols etched into the walls. Suddenly Sagan gasped. "Shaw, look!" She pointed to a hidden doorway barely visible in the dim light. "I think this might lead to something important." Shaw nodded, and together they heaved the door open, revealing a chamber untouched by the ravages of time. In the center of the room stood a massive computer system, its screens flickering to life as they approached. Sagan's fingers flew over the alien controls, her brow furrowed in concentration. Minutes turned to hours as she worked to decipher the strange language, Shaw standing guard at the entrance. Finally, Sagan let out a triumphant shout. "I've got it. This civilization had developed an incredibly advanced energy shield technology. It says here that it could withstand even the most powerful weapons." Shaw's eyes widened. "That could be the key to stopping the Ferengi superweapon. We have to find that shield generator." But before they could begin their search, a distant rumble shook the ancient walls. Shaw's comm crackled to life. "Sergeant, we've got incoming. A Ferengi scout ship just landed, and they're headed your way." Shaw cursed under his breath. They must have tracked the wormhole generator's energy signature. He turned to Sagan, his face grim. "We need to split up. I'll lead them away from you and the ruins. You keep searching for that shield generator." Sagan nodded, her eyes betraying a flicker of fear. "Be careful, Shaw." Shaw flashed her a tight smile. "Always am." He slipped out of the chamber, melting into the shadows of the ruins. As the sound of Ferengi soldiers grew closer, Shaw led them on a deadly game of cat and mouse. He used every trick in his arsenal, setting traps and ambushes, using the terrain to his advantage. The Ferengi commander, Krovak, snarled orders to his troops, his frustration mounting with each failed attempt to capture the elusive human. Meanwhile, Sagan delved deeper into the alien database, following the clues left behind by the long-dead civilization. As she searched, a chilling realization began to dawn on her. This civilization hadn't simply vanished. They had been wiped out by a powerful, unknown enemy. Sagan's heart raced as she uncovered more details. Even with their advanced technology, they had been no match for this mysterious foe. And if that enemy was still out there, waiting in the depths of space. A chill ran down her spine. They needed that shield generator more than ever, not just to stop the Ferengi, but to protect the galaxy from an even greater threat. Time was running out. Shaw couldn't evade the Ferengi forever, and Sagan knew she was close to locating the generator. She had to find it, and fast. The fate of the galaxy might depend on it. Narrator. Shaw and Sagan fought their way through the Ferengi forces, blaster fire scorching the ancient walls around them. Shaw took point, his rifle barking as he cut down soldier after soldier. Sagan followed close behind, her own weapon flashing as she provided covering fire. They reached the chamber housing the shield generator, but found their path blocked by Commander Krovak and his elite guard. Shaw gritted his teeth, knowing time was running out. "Sagan, get that shield up, I'll hold them off," he shouted over the din of battle. Sagan nodded, sprinting for the control panel as Shaw unleashed a hail of blaster bolts at the Ferengi. Krovak snarled, returning fire with his own weapon. Shaw ducked and rolled, barely avoiding the searing energy beams. He came up firing, taking down 2 more guards, but Krovak was relentless, pressing forward with single-minded determination. Sagan's fingers flew over the alien controls, desperately searching for the activation sequence. Behind her, Shaw cried out as a blaster bolt grazed his shoulder. He staggered, but kept fighting, refusing to yield. Just as Krovak closed in for the kill, Sagan slammed her hand down on the final button. The generator hummed to life, ancient circuits surging with power. A shimmering energy field exploded outward, engulfing the ruins in an impenetrable barrier. Krovak's shots ricocheted harmlessly off the shield. He roared in frustration, ordering his ship to commence orbital bombardment. But the shield held fast against the onslaught, protecting those within. Exhausted and bleeding, Shaw and Sagan met each other's gaze across the chamber. They had done it. Against all odds, they had secured the alien technology and the vital intelligence. Using the ancient computer, they broadcast a distress call to the UEDF, transmitting the stolen data and warning of the dire threats that loomed on the horizon. Shaw watched the signal beam out into space, knowing everything had changed. UEDF ships soon arrived, driving the Ferengi into retreat. As Shaw and Sagan were led to safety, hailed as heroes, the grim reality set in. The information they had uncovered painted a chilling picture. The Virians, an ancient race of energy beings, had annihilated countless worlds in the distant past. Now they stirred from eons of slumber, hungering to reap a bloody harvest once more. And the Ferengi, seething from their defeat, would redouble their efforts to complete their terrible superweapon. A war was coming, one that would shake the foundations of galactic peace. Faced with these revelations, Shaw and Sagan made their choices. Shaw, his soul scarred by all he had seen, volunteered to spearhead a desperate mission to destroy the Ferengi weapon before it could be unleashed. Sagan, the fate of her people weighing heavy on her heart, took up the mantle of diplomat and advisor. She would forge the alliances needed for the galaxy to stand against the oncoming storm. As Shaw prepared to depart, he and Sagan shared one final moment. A look passed between them, speaking to a bond forged in blood and sacrifice, an unspoken promise to see this through, no matter the cost. Then Shaw was gone, vanishing into the void on a quest that could decide the fate of trillions. Sagan watched him go, steeling herself for the monumental task ahead. The narrator's voice grows heavy with the weight of history. Shaw and Sagan had stood against the darkness, earning a fleeting glimpse of hope. But the battle was only beginning. Mighty civilizations had fallen to the Virians. Entire systems would burn if the Ferengi completed their weapon. The true test of courage and unity was still to come. In the face of such overwhelming odds, could humanity and its allies hold fast? The narrator poses the question, knowing the answer would soon be written in the stars themselves. The future, once bright with promise, now balanced on the edge of a knife. And Shaw and Sagan, two sparks of light in the encroaching shadows, would need every ounce of strength and conviction to see it through. For in the end, the survival of all they held dear hung in the balance. The story closes on a somber note, the narrator's words fading into the silence of space. The stage was set for a reckoning that would echo through the ages, and the galaxy, poised on the precipice of oblivion, could only wait and watch as the forces of light and darkness gathered for the ultimate confrontation. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.